Hi, I'm Ada Joe Mann, and I'm really happy to be interviewing Sallie Lee, my very old colleague and friend, about, and participating in the World Inquiry together, which we helped to shape. And and our relationship with AI goes back almost to the beginning together. But we're going to talk about, I hope, today the other end of our appreciative inquiry journey. And I'm really curious to hear how your journey, Sallie, in AI has helped you create innovation. Because one of the beauties of AI is that it can be adapted and reimagined depending on the needs of the situation. And I know you've done that many times. So what was one of the innovations in AI that you're most proud about?
Um, I think the one of the keys to having a successful appreciative process is getting the topic of importance right. Getting the topic right. So it's a topic of genuine importance to the people involved, to everybody involved. And one of the things that I was very happy about trying a long time ago, and it now will seem like, oh, of course people do a lot of this now, is that I worked with an instrument which turned out to be the Barrett's Values Assessment, their cultural transformation tools. And it was to help get to what are the core values of this organization, and then using those as the topic of importance. So that was topic choice. And so seeing the results of this wonderful instrument that everybody could take part in online, and they could do their individual values, the current culture values of the organization, and their desired culture values, which was wonderful because that really connected with appreciative inquiry, because it was the desired future that they wanted. So we used that and then began to play and create protocols and interview guides to that. And it was, at the time, it was innovative. Now people use all sorts of instruments with appreciative inquiry, and it's a great thing to do. But that was one that I did and really, really enjoyed. Because getting the topic of importance is, I've had the feeling before in in an event or in a summit or somewhere in a process of doing AI with a large group or an organization, of thinking to myself, I didn't get it quite right. We didn't, or the core planning team and all, we didn't quite get it. And you don't find that out until you're debriefing and getting ready to go into the dream phase. You're coming out of discovery, you're going into dream, and you think, it's really good, the data we're getting, it's really good. But we didn't quite have the topic honed enough. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the old questions are fateful.
Right. And in fact, and I at times caught myself, and this is just a funny thing, but once I was working with a cathedral, and they were looking at their mission, how to accommodate their mission, because they needed more space. And we were doing this enormous whole system, everybody in the parish coming at Christmas to do, and we were having them walk around the whole facility and post their answer. It was one of these really choreographed things. And at 2:00 in the morning, the day before this big thing, I woke up and I thought, oh, you got the facilities questions wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. And I mean, there were hundreds of protocols that were all color coded and everything. And I went to Kinko's at 3:00 in the morning and redid them because the question was wrong, and then just went straight to the event. There was no point going home to sleep anymore because it took like till 5:00 to get it done. So I just went to the facility at about 5:00 in the morning, and it went really, really well. But it was wrong. Our team had gotten it wrong. And sometimes you don't have sometimes you have those ahas in time, and sometimes you don't.
That's great. Yeah, those questions are really important in shaping the trajectory of where the organization is going to go.
So all of us have to be incredibly innovative in how we shape those topics. And then the other innovation that's just that on a working with AI over the years is, what's the whole system? How do you welcome wholeness in that system? How do you get wholeness? How do you get the leadership to allow for wholeness? And then once they've said yes, and you think, oh, there are 10,000 employees here. How? And we're going to do this how? But you do it, and it calls for tremendous innovation and working with their systems, their schedules, their locations. You and I were talking about earlier about my working with a group in France, and my core team was all over the world, and we met at 3 a.m., what was for me 3 a.m. every week for 6 weeks while we got the basics of their whole system plan together. And I think some of the most frightened I've ever been professionally have been walking into either huge summits with 500 to 1,000 people, or watching the unfolding of a huge inquiry out across cultures and languages and everything, and wondering, do we have the questions right? Will people engage? Do we have the technology right to capture all this? And so, you know, I think one of the biggest things in really doing AI in the way it needs to be done is being willing to step into the wholeness without fear.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
you're right. And it's the wholeness aspect really is what results in what I think is really important, another really important adage in appreciative inquiry, and that's people commit to what they help create. And if you've got the bigger the whole, the more commitment and the more likely you're going to have success. So yeah, I think you're right. Wholeness is key.
and the electricity just went off.